The smartphone conquered the planet faster than any technology in human history. In 15 years, one device swallowed your camera, your map, your music player, and your wallet. 78% of adults carry one. Breakthroughs in spatial computing and brain-computer interfaces are converging on a question. Most people have not thought to ask, what replaces the thing that replaced everything? Within a single generation, the answer may already be taking shape. A morning commute once meant pockets weighed down by a jumble of gadgets. On the train, a Nokia 3310 buzzes with a text message, its indestructible plastic case clacking against keys that feel more like buttons on a safe than part of a phone. The battery lasts a week, but the only thing it connects you to is a voice or a string of numbers on a tiny green screen. Music is not just a tap away. It is a separate ritual, untangling white chords, spinning the circular wheel of an iPod from 2001, scrolling through hundreds of songs by thumb. The soundtrack of the day is locked inside its own metal shell, never blending with the rest of your digital life. Getting lost in a new city means reaching for a Garmin GPS, not a map app. The device's chunky body sits on the dashboard, hunting for satellites, recalculating with every wrong turn. Addresses must be punched in one letter at a time. If the battery dies, so does your sense of direction. Meanwhile, checking email or the news on the go feels like a test of patience. Early WAP browsers, crammed onto a postage stamp screen, load headlines at a crawl, if they load at all. Every click is a gamble, every page a reminder that the web was never designed for a keypad. Each task demands its own tool, each tool its own charger, cable, and learning curve. Carriers control what you can do, how much data you can use, and how much it will cost. The digital world is divided by hardware borders. The friction is not just inconvenience, it is a barrier that keeps information, music, maps, and messages in separate silos. Before a single device could do it all, everyday life was a puzzle of pieces that rarely fit together. In January 2007, a single device stepped onto the stage and changed everything. Steve Jobs held up the first iPhone, a touchscreen slab with no keyboard, no stylus, and no respect for the way phones were supposed to work. The audience gasped, not just at the hardware, but at the promise. A phone, an internet communicator, and an iPod, all fused into one. By the summer of 2008, the App Store opened its doors. Suddenly, anyone with a good idea and a bit of code could put a new tool, a new game, or a new way to connect directly into millions of pockets. The smartphone was no longer just a gadget. It was a platform, a blank canvas for everything digital life could become. But as the world raced to catch up, a new wave of inventors started aiming even higher. In 2013, Google Glass arrived with a whisper of science fiction, a display hovering above your right eye, voice commands, and the promise of seeing the world through digital layers. The hype was electric, but the reality was awkward. Battery life sputtered. The camera raised eyebrows. Glass faded from public streets almost as quickly as it appeared. Others doubled down. In 2014, Magic Leap teased a headset that could blend light fields and digital objects with the real world, raising billions before ever showing a finished product. The dream was computing that feels like magic, with no screens at all. Progress was slow, but the ambition was undeniable. Then came a jolt from an entirely different direction. In 2016, Neuralink launched with a goal straight out of cyberpunk, brain-computer interfaces that could let you control devices with pure thought. Elon Musk talked about high-bandwidth links between mind and machine, promising demos and breakthroughs that seem to blur the line between possible and impossible. Each of these bold bets collided with the same hard truths: comfort, battery life, privacy, and whether people actually wanted to wear or implant the future. The criteria for true success would not just be about dazzling demos or viral hype. It would require solving the messy everyday realities that decide what sticks and what fades into tech folklore. A single breakthrough rarely changes the world on its own. The smartphone's takeover was powered by a silent army of falling prices, shrinking chips, and faster networks, forces that worked behind the scenes until, suddenly, Almost everyone was carrying the future in their pocket. At the heart of this shift was a name most people never saw on the box: Qualcomm. Their system-on-chip designs, the Snapdragon series, drove the cost of flagship-level performance down from $30 per chip in 2010 to less than $7 by 2023. That is more than an 80% drop, and it was not just about cheaper parts. Each new generation packed in more features, modems, AI accelerators, even entire camera pipelines, all on a single slice of silicon. As production ramped up past 1 billion units a year, economies of scale kicked in. Suddenly, the power of yesterday's high-end was standard in a phone you could buy for a few $100s. Networks kept pace. The rollout of 5G did not just mean faster downloads, it slashed latency to under 20 milliseconds, making real-time gaming, video calls, and cloud apps feel instant. Carriers built edge computing nodes closer to users, shrinking the gap between tap and response. The difference between waiting and now became invisible. Sensors joined the party. Camera modules that once cost $6 dropped below $1. MEMS accelerometers and gyroscopes followed the same curve, turning luxuries into basics. By 2025, 78% of adults worldwide owned a smartphone. In younger age groups, the number climbed even higher. The tipping point was not a single headline. It was 1,000 quiet benchmarks, each one making the device in your hand feel less like a luxury and more like a necessity. A single device in every pocket didn't just change how people lived, it rewired entire industries from the inside out. In cavernous warehouses, the old routine of paper lists and radio chatter was replaced almost overnight. DHL's pilot program handed workers augmented reality smart glasses, letting them see digital pick lists floating in front of their eyes. The result was a 34% jump in productivity. Shipments moved faster, mistakes dropped, and the rhythm of the floor shifted from manual to algorithmic. For logistics giants, the future arrived as a wave of efficiency that no clipboard could match. Retailers and advertisers raced to adapt. Augmented reality pop-ups turned store aisles into interactive catalogs, blurring the line between browsing and buying. A single tap could unlock a virtual fitting room or summon a coupon. The smartphone became the front door to commerce, and entire marketing budgets shifted to target the screens people carried everywhere. But the gains came with a price. Regulators in Europe and the US began issuing record fines for unauthorized data collection, privacy violations, and location tracking. The backlash grew louder as stories surfaced of apps listening in, tracking movements, or selling personal habits to the highest bidder. Laws tightened, app stores purged offenders, and new rules forced companies to rethink the business of surveillance. Beneath the surface, another cost piled up. Global e-waste soared to record highs, over 53 million tons in 2022 alone. Smartphones, refreshed every 2 or 3 years, contributed nearly 8 million tons by themselves. Mountains of discarded glass and lithium batteries became the shadow of progress, raising urgent questions about what happens to yesterday's tech when everyone wants tomorrow's model. The smartphone's ripple effect was both a leap forward and a warning. Every breakthrough brings new risks, new dependencies, and new costs. As the world looks for what comes next, the stakes have never been higher. A new generation of engineers is betting that the next leap will not fit in your pocket, it will rest on your face. The secret weapon is a fusion of waveguide optics and micro-LED displays, packing a 70-degree field of view into a frame slimmer than a pencil. No more tunnel vision. The geometric waveguide from Loomis spreads digital layers across your entire horizon, while micro-LED panels blast out over 2,000 nits, bright enough to cut through direct sunlight. But seeing is only half the equation. Under the hood, edge neural processors handle real-time scene understanding, slashing inference latency below 15 milliseconds. That is fast enough to anchor virtual objects in place as you move, with no perceptible lag. 5 adoption hurdles are being tackled at once: display clarity, comfort, battery life, instant response, and price. For the first time, the hardware stack behind spatial computing is not just a science project. It is poised to deliver the kind of seamless, everywhere interface that once made the smartphone feel unstoppable. Brain interfaces are no longer just science fiction headlines. Synchron's Stentrode, a semi-invasive device, is already approved for daily use in patients with paralysis, while non-invasive EEG headsets are getting lighter and more accurate every year. Early adopters, clinicians, and patients are proving that silent messaging, neural text entry, and hands-free control are not just lab demos. Still, the leap from hospital to home is steep. Non-invasive systems trade some signal fidelity for comfort, and even the best dry electrode caps can feel clunky after hours of wear. Regulatory hurdles add another layer. In the US and Europe, consumer-grade brain interfaces face strict safety and privacy checks, slowing their path to store shelves. Analysts now point to 2034 as the earliest horizon for a truly mainstream, affordable neural device. The promise is real: thought-powered communication, ambient AI that knows your intent, but the wait for smartphone-level convenience will test even the most patient futurists. Right now, billions still reach for their phones hundreds of times a day. But the next wave, faster, invisible, always on, builds quietly in the background. Our habits will shift before we realize it. Tech never asks permission, it just takes over. Subscribe for the next chapter, watch what gets replaced next,